We tend to imagine the ancient world as a series of isolated bubbles. It is easy to picture the Roman Empire on one side of the map and Han Dynasty China on the other, completely separated by thousands of miles of uncrossable, empty wilderness. Because of this assumption, we often treat globalization as a uniquely modern phenomenon, a level of connection that only became possible with the invention of steamships, airplanes, and the internet. But occasionally, we pull a piece of physical evidence out of the ground that shatters that assumption entirely. This gold clasp, discovered in the Tilia Tepe graves of northern Afghanistan, features a stunning blend of artistic styles. Looking closely at its bright teal accents, archaeologists found clear influences from ancient Greek art, fused with elements from Siberia, India, and beyond. This single grave in the mountains of Afghanistan suggests that the wilderness separating east and west wasn't a barrier, it was a bridge. To see how these cultures actually collided, we have to look past the Mediterranean and toward the deep interior of Asia. The story of how the continents first wired together begins here and the alluvial lowlands of Mesopotamia. Fed by the waters of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, this highly productive band of land provided the agricultural foundation for human civilization to take root. As farming yielded growing towns and cities, early societies developed complex frameworks to manage their populations. This is the Code of Hammurabi Stele, which recorded the strict obligations and punishments the Babylonian king disseminated nearly 4,000 years ago. While civilization matured in the Middle East, a massive wave of expansion was pushing outward from the east. Under the Han Dynasty, China extended its frontiers hundreds of miles past the Gansu corridor, eventually reaching a western region known today as Xinjiang. Economics and security drove this outward push. The Chinese state traded highly prized luxury goods deep into nomadic territories in exchange for vital resources like livestock and horses, occasionally using these items to pay tribute in return for border peace. Through these growing political ambitions and resource demands, China actively laid down the eastern scaffolding for an intercontinental network of exchange. Simultaneously, major shifts were happening in the middle and western parts of the continent. By the 3rd century BC, the Arsacid dynasty controlled Persia. They successfully fused Greek and Persian ideas to forge a robust new identity, resulting in a long period of regional stability and prosperity. Over in the Mediterranean, the Roman Empire was undergoing its own transformation. Rather than turning entirely inward, Rome consistently looked eastward, with its consumer tastes, economy, and architecture heavily shaped by Eastern influences. As these three massive spheres of influence, Han China, Arsacid Persia, and Rome, grew outward, the vast distances between them shrank. Eventually, their independent expansions caused their borders and their long-distance trade routes to physically intersect. This connection relied on geographic bottlenecks. Oasis cities like Kashgar, situated near towering mountain ranges and harsh deserts, became vital physical junction points, where northern and southern trading routes merged into bustling commercial hubs. The resulting network was not planned out and paved as a single deliberate highway. It was the organic, inevitable result of expanding empires locking the scattered tribes of the Asian steppes into a single interconnected system. The scale of the world they created was staggering. 2 millennia ago, fine silks made by hand in central China were transported thousands of miles and worn by the rich and powerful here, in Carthage, and in other cities across the Mediterranean. The traffic flowed in every direction. Artifacts like this ceramic bowl show pottery from southern France was transported all the way to the Persian Gulf. Meanwhile, spices grown in India became staples in the kitchens of Rome, as well as in the distant frontier towns of Xinjiang. This incredible network carried immense wealth. These coins discovered in the soil represent a system that deeply monetized regional economies, financing a continuous exchange of culture, language, and artistic principles. By tying all of these distinct and distant regions together, the ancient world proved to be vibrant, competitive, and highly efficient. Long-distance globalization was a daily fact of life 2,000 years ago. The creation of the Silk Roads shows that our traditional, Western-centric view of history is incomplete. Long before the modern era, the connections running through the spine of Asia functioned as the central nervous system of human history.